Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk in the house, man. I'm streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, man. Hey, we got a great show in store for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the national championship college basketball tonight between Baylor and Gonzaga. Who's going to win that game? It should be tightly contested. Also, breaking news a couple hours ago in the NFL, Sam Darnold was traded from the New York Jets to the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to talk about that. Then again, I want to also touch base tonight on the Battle of LA between the Lakers and the Clippers. That game took place yesterday. The Clippers demolished the Lakers last night. It's not looking good, but maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel for Laker fans there as well. Also, Major League Baseball has decided to pull their All-Star game out of Atlanta, due to some Georgia voting laws. So that's interesting. And also, Isaiah Thomas signed a 10-day contract with the New Orleans Pelicans. He's trying to continue to keep his NBA dreams alive, even though he had a promising career at one point not that long ago. And lastly tonight, Deshaun Watson, man, it's getting pretty bad for him as the days go on. Legal troubles the NFL might have to step into soon, so that's not going to be good for him. So anyway, sit back and relax and enjoy the show. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk Live is presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go. Come on. Welcome in, everyone. Hope you guys are doing all right. It's Monday, man. It's probably the worst day of the week, depending on how you look at it. But anyway, my name is Ryan Flowers, and this is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers, man. I'm bringing you guys up-to-date sports content and news from around all the major sports league. If you're in the live right now, whether you're in the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube streaming, make sure you drop a comment, man. I appreciate that. And if you're on my Instagram live right now, man, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys leave some comments and some questions. We'll keep it going. I'll be sure to answer any of your questions or concerns. So it's going to be a good show. And for those of you who are watching on the Facebook streaming live, YouTube live, make sure you guys go ahead and drop a comment as well. I'll be answering questions from there also. But other than that, man, it's going to be a good show. It should be nice and tight and very neat the way I like it. So without further ado, man, let's go into the first thing tonight. So before I touch base on the Baylor Gonzaga national championship game that's going to be tipping off in just a little bit over an hour tonight, I want to talk about the women's Final Four, which was tremendous. I think that for those of you who don't watch women's basketball, you should probably give them a look, maybe especially next season as far as March Madness is concerned. It was a great Final Four. The national championship game lived up, I wouldn't say to the hype, because a team like Arizona really wasn't picked to be there at all. But, they had to slay a few dragons on their way to get there, and we found a girl, a basketball player, a point guard, and I think her name was Addie McDonald. She had a tremendous Final Four, a tremendous run where she was averaging like 22 points a game, but she fell short last night to Stanford. Stanford winning, I believe, their first women's basketball championship in quite some time. So it was a great game. It was definitely a great game. I watched the second half of it. I was doing something in the first half, but I caught the second half. The one thing I will say about the Arizona Wildcats basketball team is that they didn't give up. There was times in that game where Stanford had delivered a blow and they kept fighting back. So, they were never out of it completely. They almost ended up winning the game just on a last shot. It didn't go in, but that's how it goes sometimes. But congratulations to the Stanford Cardinal women for winning their national championship in women's basketball. So, all right, with that out the way, let's segue over to the the men's national basketball championship tonight in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Field between the Baylor Bears and the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Now, Gonzaga, for what it's worth, they, to me, are one of the, if not the best program in all of college basketball. Well, people say, well, they haven't won a championship yet. Well, I get that, but as far as consistency is concerned, I mean, they're always in there. I mean, they've been in the Sweet 16, I want to say at least 4 of the 5 past seasons, and they've been in the Final Four at least in the last 3 to 4 years, which is to say, a lot of other schools have not been able to do that. And they're doing that with not really the big time players. Now, this year, they were able to get a top recruit in Jalen Suggs, who was a 2-sport athlete, a stud out of Minnesota, who decided to play basketball instead of football, because I think he was Mr. Football in Minnesota. They land a guy like that. They get a guy like Drew Timme, one of their centers, one of their big men, and they have one of the top classes coming in to next season. So I think Mark Few is definitely going to be pretty stocked while he's there in Gonzaga, and they're going to continue to keep winning games. Baylor, on the other hand, they're a gritty team, very athletic. They play defense. I think they've been holding teams to about 65 to 70 points a game. Tonight, I definitely is going to see. I can see a shootout. I can definitely see a shootout because the way Gonzaga wants to move the ball is they want to run up and down the court. That's their That's their motive. That's their mo. That's how they're going to do this. So I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I don't think anyone's going to get blown out. Baylor does have the ability to play defense, and they can shoot. They can shoot the three better than anybody left that was remaining in the tournament. And I think that's going to be a factor. That's going to keep them in this game. But the real key tonight is going to be down low in the paint. Will Baylor have an actual answer for Timmy? Timmy with the mustache, I mean, he's been going, on people all weekend, last week, the week before. Do they have a matchup for him? Can they slow him down enough? Jalen Suggs is going to get a lot of the attention, of course. I mean, rightfully so. He hit that amazing half-court three-point shot to knock out UCLA in the national semifinal. But I think Timmy is the real factor. He's the guy that's going to swing that game. As far as who's going to win the game, I don't know yet. I'm leaning towards Gonzaga. I do want to see history being made. They're trying to go undefeated, which hasn't been done since, I believe, 1976 with the Indiana Hoosiers, one of the Bobby Knight's team back then in the 70s. Since then, the closest team to do that was Kentucky a few years ago, and they actually fell short in the national title game. So Gonzaga has their work cut out for them to win 32 games without losing. It's tough. And coming off of that exhilarating last-minute win a few days ago on Saturday, I believe, against UCLA, will that take a toll on them? We're gonna see in the first couple minutes how that's gonna play out. Baylor can hang with, if any team that can hang with Gonzaga, it's going to be Baylor. Because like I said, they have the perimeter guard defenders that can help out. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to the paint, who can control the paint. And I think Timmy will probably have his way tonight, a little bit more so much, but I think Gonzaga gets the win and Gonzaga goes into the history books. And I think Gonzaga will win, like, it'll be a close game, like maybe by 4 or 5 points, maybe 6 points, if that. But I don't know. I like the Zags. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, whether you're watching on Instagram or the other streaming platforms. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. But I like Gonzaga tonight, even though I do like Baylor. I like what Baylor has been able to do, but I still like Gonzaga. It's a great story. It's a great story considering the fact that they're a small, I don't say they're a small school. They're a mid-major. They're not in one of the bigger conferences, and people don't give them enough respect for that because they say, well, they don't play anybody. Granted, I understand that. But the fact that they continue to be relevant, they continue to just be there. And one thing about college basketball, and I'm kind of segueing a little bit from the national championship game, this has been a great March Madness. I would say that. I think it's benefited a lot of players. A guy like a Jalen Suggs, a guy like Johnny Juzang from UCLA. I mean, how many you can honestly say you knew who Johnny Juzang was prior to this last weekend? You didn't, unless you're a diehard college basketball fan and you just really love the college game. You know Johnny Juzang, but for the average, pedestrian type of average sports goer, they probably know who Johnny Juzang was. And there were other great talented players, but I'm just focusing on the guys that really stepped up. And Johnny Juzang, for real. I mean, if you don't know his story, I think he went to Kentucky. He rode the bench a little bit, then decided to leave Kentucky, came back home to the West Coast, and then he's playing with UCLA. And I bet that he'll probably declare for the draft. He has to. And one thing about college basketball, which I feel like the NBA really hasn't done a good job of, they haven't paired well enough with each other. Because you look at football and college football, there's always a story. We know these guys so well prior to them getting drafted in the NFL. Where in college basketball, we don't really know the guys anymore like they used to. Why? Because guys were leaving, they're one and dones, or they're playing overseas. I used to be of the notion that if you're a young, talented high schooler kid and you want to make money immediately, go and play overseas. But what I've learned from watching the tournament the last couple of weeks is that the NCAA March Madness tournament is literally the best publicity you can ever get. I mean, look, can you imagine if we had seen LaMelo Ball play in the tournament, how much more exposure we'd have got of him? Look what it did for Zion, guys like that. Look what it's going to do for Johnny Juzang and Jalen Suggs, guys like that. Now, these guys could have played overseas. We probably would have been like, oh, yeah, he's nice, but we never seen him because they didn't play on American soil. Because to be honest with you, I don't watch the G League games. I don't know if any one of you watch the G League games. I don't think they're really televised that much. And you're definitely not watching international basketball. So when you have guys that are top rated players that go overseas, you kind of forget about them for a couple months, and then when they come into the draft, you're like, well, what happened? And I think that's what happened a lot in this past draft, is that you got these one and dones, but now that rule is going to change. So I think college basketball definitely needs to work in unison with the NBA a lot more to build these characters, to build them up. That way, as a consumer like myself and you guys know these players before, and you're well educated on what they're about. And then that way you see them develop right under your eyes. But I think the tournament definitely does wonders for guys. And Johnny Juzang is definitely going to be a lottery pick based off his performance in this past March Madness tournament. So, but it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. All right, moving on. Okay, so a few hours ago, Sam Darnold was traded from the New York Jets to the Carolina Panthers. Now, I forgot what the trade was. I think it was a 6th rounder, a 3rd rounder, and a 2nd rounder. I think, don't quote me on that, but it really wasn't like jaw dropping. I would say that he basically. Here's the thing with Sam Darnold. Like, I grew up in LA. I'm a huge USC fan. I watched him play, for the 3 years I believe that he was there. My most memorable game with him was the Rose Bowl against Penn State, with the Saquon Barkley Penn State team. They won, I believe it was, I don't know if it was overtime, but they won. They came back and won in the 4th quarter. But anyway, Sam Darnold definitely got a bad hand when he was drafted by the Jets. Now, he was never able to really live up to being the number 3 pick in the NFL draft. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he isn't that good. Well, yes, I'll be honest with you. He hasn't played well. I get it. But a lot of it has to deal with the environment that he's been around. I mean, think about your own professional careers right now. Say you're at a company, say you're a rock star, and you know that you're a rock star. But for whatever reason, the systems and processes that are in place are not really benefiting you, or doesn't really work for you. You're not really able to do what you do best. It actually inhibits you. You know what I mean? So I would say that Sam Darnold is in that situation where he went to New York, he got drafted by them. They really never developed any offensive talent around him. He's running for his life. Now, he's a gunslinger mentality. He does turn the ball over a lot. But like I said, he didn't have the weapons. He didn't have the great coaching. Now he's going to Carolina, which now he's going to have to compete with Teddy Bridgewater, unless the Panthers are trying to move Teddy Bridgewater for some reason, or they're just comfortable with them duking it out in the offseason training, or during season, during their camp, and to see who will be the QB1. Now, I'm not really excited that he's going to Carolina. Why? Because I still think that Carolina doesn't have like the greatest weapons. Like, is it a step up above the Jets? Yeah, it is. I mean, he is throwing to a Robbie Anderson, a guy that he had on his team before. I forgot the other kid. DJ Moore is there. Obviously, he's a pretty nice receiver. I'm not going to say he's a top 10 receiver. And then Christian McCaffrey is there, when healthy. He's very amicable, and he's a great player. One of the top running backs when he's there. So it's better. But I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to. I hope it works out for him. I really do. I really do hope that it works out for Sam Darnold, because he's got to be, for the last couple of years, he's been getting his head busted in, over in New York. But I don't know what Carolina really wants to do, what their MO is. I know they need someone to push the ball down the field. Teddy Bridgewater is not that guy. Teddy Bridgewater is not pushing the ball down the field. He's a typical game manager. So Sam Darnold can push the ball down the field. Now, like I said, you got a Robbie Anderson who can stretch the field. Moore is a pretty intermediate receiver. And then you throw McCaffrey in the run game. Obviously, also in the passing game, maybe they might find a nice balance, and their defense should be better because they invested heavily last year in the draft on their defense. So, as far as New York is concerned, the Jets, this tells us that they're going to take Zach Wilson. Now, will they take Mac Jones? Who knows? I got a comment on Instagram, passing the torch. What's up, brother? How you doing? He says Carolina got a baller. Excited to see this kid actually have a fighting chance. Yeah, he definitely has a better chance in Carolina than he does in New York. He does. I guess for me, Carolina is not a sexy team, so maybe for me, me personally, I wanted to see him go to like Denver because of the offensive weapons that they do have there in Denver. With the Judy, the tight ends that they have there, KJ Hamler, guys like that. So I would like to see him there in that division. But Carolina is definitely not a bad spot to land as well. I will agree with that. But as far as the Jets are concerned, they're going to take Zach Wilson. I don't think they're going to take Mac Jones. I don't think they're going to take Justin Fields. I think they've always had their mind set on Zach Jones, or excuse me, Zach Wilson, excuse me. So they better hope it pans out, because honestly, nothing has changed. The Jets haven't really added any more offensive talent to help a kid, especially a rookie in Zach Wilson. If I was the GM in New York, I would have probably held on to Sam Darnold for one more year at least, and maybe drafted, a Jamar Chase or a Devontae Smith, a real number one wide receiver, and then see what happens. Now I get it. Next year's draft, the quarterback class is not that good. I think right now Keaton Slovis is the guy out of SC, and a lot of you are like, well, who the hell is Keaton Slovis? Exactly. So I think he's the number one prospect right next year going into 2022. But they better hope they get it right, because if Sam Darnold goes to Carolina and he balls out of control, then they're gonna be like, damn, what the hell did we do? And we had a real one, and they let him go. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, man. Appreciate everyone that's been chiming in Instagram. What's up, Realist Cowboy? That's my guy. Passing the torch. He stopped in All Even Podcast. Appreciate you guys. I'll take a quick water break here. But yeah, but Sam Darnold traded to the Carolina Panthers in a division that's going to be controlled by Tampa. Don't forget that. Tampa is still there. Now, they may be able to compete against New Orleans, because New Orleans might be in shambles. And then the other team, and the Atlanta Falcons, who knows? That they might be a wild card, because they got a new coach, but they still have some of the remaining parts from that team left over from last year. So going to be very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. All right. Shifting gears, we're going to move on to the NBA for just a bit here. Yesterday, the battle for LA took place in Staples Center yesterday afternoon. Really wasn't much of a battle. The Lakers tried to keep it close in the first half, but kind of got smoked in the second half. Well, not kind of, they did get smoked. Watching that game as a Laker fan, it was tough. It was tough. And the Clippers can shoot better than any team. They're one of the better shooting teams throughout the NBA. I think they shoot at least a plus 45% from the perimeter, and their free throw shooting as well too. And they got some guys. So the one thing I did notice about the Lakers is that defensively, they can hang in there. Now, they've lost a lot of games. I'll say that. But as far as the best team in LA right now, yeah, the Clippers are the best team in LA for now. Once LeBron and AD comes back, and we get what's the guy we just got? I forgot. Andre Drummond, excuse me. Once he gets back and running, the Lakers are going to be right back to where they need to be, and they're going to take over the West. But what I did notice yesterday in that game is that defensively, they can play with a lot of teams, if not all teams in the NBA. Right now, the problem for them with the Lakers, they don't have anybody they can really go down and get a bucket. It's hard for them. So they really have to play solid defense every night. They turn the ball over a lot, like yesterday, which is not a good recipe, especially when you're playing a team that's that's stacked or have their full plethora of players. Definitely a tough situation for them. But the Lakers can play defense. They definitely can play defense, and I think that's what's going to help them right now while LeBron and AD and even Drummond was out. Drummond should be back soon, rather sooner than later. But the Clippers right now are the best team in LA because they won yesterday. And not only did they win, they destroyed the Lakers, but the Lakers weren't fully healthy. One thing I will say, and I've always said this when I talk about the Lakers on my show, AD is a great player, but you can't solely rely on him. You can't. And as LeBron is getting older, you hear him talking about trying to recruit a guy like Curry, guys like that, because you can't trust AD. He hasn't really played a full season. You can't count last year because, they had the break and then they came back into the bubble. So, had time to rest and heal up, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And LeBron's getting older. But a guy like AD, you have to watch his minutes because you never know. A 6'10", 6'11" guy, stuff that he has to do with his body is probably not the best. It's not natural for a guy like that. So I'm pretty sure he's going to end up getting hurt at some point again in his career. Hopefully not the rest of this season because the Lakers need him. But I can foresee him having, little nicks and knacks and, scratches here and there just because that's how he was built. It's no shot at him. Not saying he's not a great basketball player, but he really can't stay healthy, and that's a problem. So who has the best chance to win a title? That's the question I really posed for everyone. The Lakers still do, because I still don't believe in Kawhi Leonard and the Clipper team. Now I know they added Rondo; he's supposed to be there for leadership, but who knows, man? I was on one of my friends' podcasts a few days ago, and Rondo will come in and try to do what he can. But if he's not feeling it, if he's not liking how they go about treating Kawhi and letting Kawhi do what he wants to do, Rondo is a very outspoken individual. He's going to let you know that's not the business. So, I don't trust the Clippers, and I definitely for sure don't trust Paul George. I think Paul George is a fraud. He's a great talent. He'll give you some points, but at the end of the day, when you really need him, where is he to be found? Nowhere. So I still like the Lakers' chances, even though the injuries are still plaguing them right now. But in a couple of weeks or so, LeBron will be back. Hopefully AD will be back. Drummond will have more of a feel. Pau Gasol, I know he's not happy right now, but he's got to look himself in the mirror. It's not working out for him. He's an aging player. Not quite sure why they even made the deal for him, but it didn't work out for the Lakers. And, they're seeing that now, but they can't get rid of him because they need every able body that they can use right now. But as far as the battle of LA, it's a battle. And the Clippers won the battle, but in the end, the Lakers will win the war. And that's what's most important, is winning the war, not winning just one or two battles. So, all right. Sticking in the NBA real quick, Isaiah Thomas signed a deal with the New Orleans Pelicans, a 10-day contract. I believe he played yesterday. I didn't check the stats on that, but I brought this up not because I want to talk about his game from yesterday. I just want to say that this guy, Isaiah Thomas, just a few years ago, not that long ago, was one of the hottest players in the NBA. I mean, he literally could have signed the biggest deal in his career. He ends up getting hurt. It didn't work out for him. I think he hurt his hip, and it just kind of derailed the rest of his career. He left Boston, moved. He was on other teams. He had stretches in DC, the Lakers. God, who else? I think Cleveland. I don't know. The guy, and it's so weird because his career didn't start off high. He was a journeyman up until that point, until he came to Boston, and then for some reason he got his swagger, his mojo was going, and he just went off. And he was one of the best players in the league at one point, and he was going to garner a huge contract, but he ends up getting hurt. The hip injury really destroyed and derailed his career, and now he's just looking to hang on to his NBA career. It sucks because he's a small guy. I think he's like 5'9", if that, 5'8", 5'9", not a big guy. He was a tremendous scorer, liability on defense, but the fact that he's still getting a deal, it does speak to some of his skill at some point, but I think the Pelicans are just kind of kicking the tires on this one. I don't think they really see him being a integral part of what they're doing there. They got enough guys there as it is, but it's just sad to see a guy like that who was literally this close. Literally this close from cashing in on a deal, and he doesn't cash in. So it's definitely sad. Hey, what's up, Rowdy Roundup? Welcome to the live, man. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm actually streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube Live, and Instagram. So I got 2 cameras set up. It's a pretty unique setup. So I'm looking at my phone, but then I'm looking at the camera as well too. So very interesting. But make sure you guys drop a comment, man. Leave a like and share the content right now, please, if you don't mind. I appreciate that. But yeah, back to Isaiah Thomas. Just a sad state of affairs for him. But hopefully, he saved his money. He was smart with it. But he could have got paid big time not that long ago. And once you get hurt like that, there's no going back. And especially with a hip injury, for any athlete, if you suffered a hip injury, it's not something that you ever really fully return from. But props to him, man. Hopefully, he can hang around and in the NBA a little bit instead of having to go overseas if he wants to continue to play. So shout out to Isaiah Thomas. All right. Moving on to the MLB. So it was just recently announced, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, decided that they are going to move this year's All-Star game from Atlanta. Now, the destination of where they're moving it to is unknown at this point. Oh, you're very well. Thank you. Thank you, Rowdy Roundup. Appreciate it. Sorry, I was reading the comment from Rowdy Roundup from great page if you're a Cowboys fan. Check them out. Great stuff. Great stuff. I have to get them on. I have to get them on at some point so we can talk about some Cowboys. But back to baseball. Very interesting. Now, they moved out of Atlanta because Atlanta is in the state of Georgia. Hey, Erica. So Georgia right now, there's some voting laws going along that are basically restricting voters' rights. So basically, they're trying to control a certain demographic of people from voting, and Major League Baseball acknowledges that. So they moved out of Georgia because just out of respect to what's going on in the world. Here's the thing with this: is it good that they did that? Sure. It makes a statement, and for the last, I don't know, let's just say a year, right? Let's say the year, okay? Since George Floyd and all that horrific event took place, companies, including, sports leagues and stuff like that, they have taken a stance. Now, depending on what side of the track or the coin you flip, you can look at it in both ways. Now, I try to look at it very objectively. I want to say, yes, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that they acknowledging that, because voting rights, especially for minorities, in this particular case, Georgia is trying to control their rights. They're trying to limit them from having multiple opportunities to vote, which is not great. This is America. If you're an American citizen, you should be allowed to vote no matter what race, color, creed, or culture. Okay. But on the caveat, a lot of this stuff has been going on for years. Now, I'm not going to get political because that's not my genre. That's not my platform. But I will say that sometimes I feel like companies too, included, they kind of use this now because obviously we live in a cancel culture environment where anything now can be canceled because social media will say, no, we don't like that. Someone was telling me the other day, they're a realtor, that they can't use the word master bedroom because it brings up slavery and all that. I'm like, mind blown. Okay. That's where we're at in this world. So with MLB moving out, is it a good move? Okay. Yeah. I applaud them for that. Okay. But is it really because they really want to do that, or is it because they don't want to be canceled by the culture? That's why the NBA did what they did last year in the bubble with the Black Lives Matter on the court. The NFL, they got the end zones, and even NBA with the names on the back, people kneeling. Sometimes I want to give people the benefit of the doubt as far as, are they genuine? Are their actions really genuine to the struggle, to the movement? I don't know. I don't think so. Man. I really feel that it's all for show. It's definitely all for show. Hey, what's up, Cindy Marie? And they're just doing it because if they don't do it, people will be protesting an All-Star game, and it's bad publicity. Not because they really care about the rights of minority voters. They care more about their bottom line. But I will say this, baseball's ratings have been down, and obviously baseball just started up this past weekend. Will this hurt them? A lot of people feel like with this whole Black Lives Matter movement and all this, a lot of the other leagues have suffered, ratings dropping. I don't know if it's based off of that. A lot of it could be based off of the election. Now that's all over. But I'm not going to sit here and say kudos to a Major League Baseball because I don't believe it all the way. Like, it's cool that they did it, but I need more action. I need to see it consistently, especially with companies as well too. I think a lot of stuff has been going on for years and years and years on end. And now people are just deciding to do stuff now because it's kind of like the cool thing to do. Not because they really want to do it. But like I said, I'm not being political. I don't really have any stance. I'm just saying, like, you have to look at it from both sides. From a first glance, it's like, oh, that's great. That's great. Good job, Major League Baseball. You got it right. A lot of people would say this is probably one of the greatest things they've done since Jackie Robinson. That's a long time. Jackie Robinson played. I don't even know when did Jackie Robinson make his debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers? In the 40s? I don't know. Let me know if I don't know. But it's been a while. So for anyone to say this is the greatest thing since they've done, the greatest thing Major League Baseball have done since Jackie Robinson, that tells you a lot, because a lot has happened since Jackie Robinson took the field for the Brooklyn Dodgers. So, civil rights movement took place. All that. So, to come out now in 2021 to say you're pulling an all-star game, which a game that nobody, it is what it is. I don't know. It's just crazy to me, but I'll give them an A for effort. I mean, they did it. It's cool, but I'm not going to really put too much stock into that because I don't feel that they're really that genuine. I really don't. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I could be off base with that, but that's my thoughts on that. I'll just leave it at that without getting into any more politics because that's not what I want to do. All right. Lastly tonight, Deshaun Watson. So for those of you who don't know, man, this guy's been in hot water for quite some time now. I believe now it's up to 22 women who have affidavits about him saying that he, I guess, molested them or sexually harassed them. So 22. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Sorry, Nathan. I'm doing a live right now, man. I can't have any guests right now, but I appreciate you sending that request, man. The live is streaming right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube Live. So, and I'm using Instagram too to record while I'm doing this. So sorry right now. I can't take any guess right now on that, but I'll definitely have to get you on the show probably within the next couple of weeks or so, man. We can hook that up in the DM section. But anyway, Deshaun Watson now, 22 women have filed civil cases against him. Now, I think they rebutted and Deshaun Watson's people, and they were like, well, we got 18 statements saying from other masseurs or whatever, what'd you call them? Masseurs? Is that it? Massage therapists? I'll say massage therapists because masseurs doesn't sound right. It sounds weird to me. But anyway, so he's got 18 statements from these massage therapists saying that he was an absolute gentleman and yada, yada, yada. But here's the thing. Why do you have so many massage therapists? I don't understand that. I don't get it. Why do you have 18 to 22? So it's more than that, obviously. Is he not happy with the service that he was getting? I mean, honestly, like, let's just be real. How many you got 18 to 22 barbers or doctors or a mechanic that you go to? You don't. So why do you have so many massage therapists that you come into dealings with? I don't get that. So if there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know the guy personally, and neither do, I mean, anyone watching this live probably doesn't know this guy personally. Is he a model citizen? From all estimation, yeah. He looks like he's a model guy. He hasn't gotten into trouble other than what's happening now. So who do we believe? Are all these women that file affidavits against him lying? Is there some truth to this? Now, the real problem for Deshaun Watson is not the civil suit, is if the attorney for these 22 women, if they decide to take this to a criminal case, then the NFL has to step in. And you already know Roger Goodell does not play when it comes to this type of stuff. So Deshaun Watson said he don't want to play for the Texans. Well, guess what, bro? You might not be playing in the NFL probably for a long time, if not the rest of your life. So if I was him, man, I would definitely have to. I don't know. I would have probably came out and tried to make a statement and try to get ahead of this type of stuff, because him sitting back and not really saying stuff, you should defend yourself. Now, you don't come on, don't come to the interview and be like, man, I didn't do this, whoop-de-woo, wada, 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 blah, blah, blah. No, you got to come up there. You got to be smart. You got to be concise, and you have to be very, very conscientious on the words and things that you say, but at least show your face. I think here in America, for the most part, we forgive pretty much anybody. I mean, literally, we forgive everybody. As long as you kind of like, not admit it, but concede a little bit. And I'm not saying he needs to come out and say he did it, because we don't know if he did it. It's a he said, she said type of situation at this point. But like I said, I don't know. Why do you have so many massage therapists? If a guy of that magnitude, a celebrity, dude, have someone else handle that for you. Why are you directly dealing with these people? Because, a few weeks ago, there was a message, posted by the attorney who's going after him. It's like, why are you doing that, bro? I just don't get it. But anyway, nonetheless, he's definitely got some troubles, and teams still want to trade for this guy. Teams still want to trade for this dude. And that's the crazy thing about it. But I think once the NFL, if this gets to a criminal case, that's it for him. His reputation is kind of already tarnished already. And it's just sad. And there's a lot of things going on in the NFL. Obviously we got the whole adding another game situation, which is a whole nother thing, which I talked about last week's show. But to Deshaun Watson, it's like, bro, you're in trouble. So for any one of you who become big time athletes, celebrity, superstar, don't deal with people directly. That's why you have handlers. You think LeBron James direct messages his massage therapist or Derek Jeter back in the day, moguls? No, they don't. They have people that do that. They insulate themselves. So you young athletes, young entertainers, guys like that who are going, sliding into people's DMs, talking craziness. Look, man, it comes back to bite you in the butt, and it's biting him in the butt. Who knows what other messages and nonsense he sent out to people, probably sending, explicit pictures, which is just the craziest thing. But I don't know, man. But I hope that they come to some type of resolution for his sake, because he's a tremendous talent. He's a tremendous talent, but my quarterback wouldn't be doing nothing like that. Dak Prescott wouldn't be doing nothing like that. Because to me, Dak Prescott's the only number 4 quarterback in Texas. But anyway, I'm just being biased there. So cool. That's it, man. That's all I got for this evening. I appreciate everybody that was on here. You guys were in the live on both aspects in my StreamYards and as well as Instagram, and I appreciate all the love and support. Make sure you guys go to YouTube, man. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel, man. Do that real quick. Don't take that long. It's free. It helps me out. 2 seconds. You go to the link in my bio. You go to YouTube. You hit subscribe. That's it. It'd be one of the best decisions you've ever made in your life, like for real. So if you do that, you get caught up on all Clutch Sports Talk related stuff. Be on the lookout for my next show Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, man. It was a great show. You guys go ahead, get your drink, pour your drink up. I'm about to get me something real nice. I'm about to pull up, get some food, watch this men's national basketball tournament tonight, and be ready for the day tomorrow. So until next time, everybody, this is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Peace. Clutch Sports Talk Live with Ryan Flowers is presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go.